and, the Dharana, I don't pronounce a lot of these correctly, but I do practice pranayama and meditation. And I really love being in community that serves and that focuses on God consciousness. I'm really, really grateful that I found you guys. And when I go back to Orlando, I'm on my way back to Florida right now with my husband. I'm going to tap into the Hare Krishna temple in Orlando from our same teacher.
Mm,
And so, thank you for this call. I'm really grateful, and I'm going to continue listening and loving you all.
thank you for joining every day. And who else is left? Juhi or Shridhar Priya or anybody to say anything?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's like same what everybody share. Similar to that, like for me also. Uh, Actually, for me as a child, my grandmother took us to Krishna temple, ISKCON actually, because we were staying very close to ISKCON temple in Vallabh Vidyanagar in Gujarat. So used to visit more frequently during whole summer vacation. But normally also all the auspicious festivals and days we used to go, but during that time did not really had like insights into the philosophy because grandmother used to chant, but she used to chant, so at least was introduced to chanting by her, but did not really take it that seriously at that young age. But then during college time, there was one Mataji there who was the head of the book department in the temple. Like she inspired, and she was insisting to go to the Mayapur trip. That I said I cannot join, but then she said, "Okay, at least can you come for Bhagavad Gita class?" So then, like on every Sunday, they used to have for females Bhagavad Gita class in the evening. So I promised her, okay, at least I will visit that class. So I used to go to those classes in college days, and then um, yeah, got Bhagavad Gita from first Bhagavad Gita from that, and then. But still, like after that, association was lost when I moved to different cities for jobs. I just kept association with the temple. I used to find ISKCON temple wherever I used to go for job, and then but that did not really like gave me a strong devotee association. But then when we moved to US in Columbus, especially when we first visited the ISKCON temple, that's where we met Prem Prabhuji, and he inspired back again. And that's where like I took it little more seriously for the surveys and chanting and devotee association and those like the ingredients which are really needed for our spiritual life. So yeah, that's where like now still journey is going on, but I don't think I have reached to that still level where some of you devotees are practicing very sincerely, chanting 16 malas every day and reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day. I'm still trying to get there, but yeah, that's about
Mm,
me.
thank you. Okay, so anybody else like to share? Krishna Prasad or Shakti Radhika Mataji, Mona, Madan Mohim. If you want to share anything, otherwise we'll move on. Okay, so so that the time was right for them, for Angira Muni to now give transcendental knowledge because he was in distress. Okay, so translation, the next verse. My dear king, now you are actually experiencing the misery of a person who has sons and daughters. O king, owner of the state of Shurasen, one's wife, his house, the opulence of his kingdom, and his various other opulences, and objects of sense perception are all the same in that they are temporary. One's kingdom, military power, treasury, servants, ministers, friends, because he is a king, so he's saying all this, everything is the same because that All of them are temporary, whether you consider your house or kingdom or your relatives or servants. And relatives are all causes of fear, illusion, lamentation, and distress. They are like a Gandharva Nagar, a non existent palace that one imagines to exist in the forest. So, are they not existing? Yeah, they're existing, but they can also give you fear, lamentation, and distress. That's what he's saying. They're like a Gandharva Nagar, a non existent palace that one imagines to exist in the forest. Because they are impermanent, they are no better than illusions, dreams, and mental concoctions. So he's saying your kingdom, ministers, friends, relatives, they are the same, they are temporary, and then he says they may be your cause of fear, illusion, lamentation, and distress. And they will cease to exist because they're impermanent. So it's like a dream, saying like that. Okay, purport. This verse describes the entanglement of material existence. In material existence, the living entity possesses many things, the material body, children, wife, and so on. Dehapatya kalatradishu. One may think that this will give him protection, but that is impossible. In spite of all these possessions, the spirit soul has to give up his present situation and accept another. The next situation may be unfavorable, but even if it is favorable, one must give it up and accept another body. In this way, one's tribulation in material existence continues. So you may think Prabhupada is painting a pessimistic picture because he's seeing the bigger picture, right? So he's saying, yeah, a sane man should be perfectly aware that these things will never be able to give him happiness. So what will not all the material assets and all this? One must be situated in a spiritual identity and eternally serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a devotee. Angira Rishi and Narad Muni gave this instruction to Maharaj Chitraketu. Okay, so nothing in this world will give us happiness. That's what he's saying. Unless we become a devotee of the Lord and serve the Lord as a devotee. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Unless we become situated in our spiritual identity as the soul servant of Krishna. So, so he's experiencing distress because he lost his son. So that's why everything first they are saying it's temporary. It will also give you this because it will be lost at some point, and it is impermanent. So it's like an illusion, dream, and mental concoction. But it's not that we are in family, so we have our children and wife and husband, and so we should all become together Krishna conscious. We should help. That's the only way this can be resolved, right? Otherwise, we may say, well, I have to leave everything. It's all dream. It's a mental concoction. But if it is helping to become Krishna conscious, then it's good. Otherwise, it's bad. Okay, any comments on this verse? It's very like strong verse, right? Okay. Nobody has anything to say. This verse. Then we go to the next verse. We'd like to welcome Sarla. Sarla is joining from where?
I am from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for joining. You come to our temple? ISKCON Columbus. Have you been to our temple?
I've been to ISKCON Temple here in downtown, as well as I've attended a few programs.
Hmm.
I've been to Virginia multiple times.
Okay. We have this call every day in the morning at 7 o'clock. So whenever you time,
I
you can.
try to join that.
Yeah.
I'm driving right now, so I'm
Hmm.
sitting in the mute.
Yeah. Okay. दृश्यमाना विनार्थेन न दृश्यन्ते मनोभावः कर्मभिर्ध्यायतो नाना कर्माणि मनसो bhavan. These visible objects like wife, children, and property are like dreams and mental concoctions. Actually, what we see has no permanent existence. It is sometimes seen and sometimes not. Only because of our past actions do we create such mental concoctions. And because of these concoctions, we perform further activities. Everything material is a mental concoction because it's sometimes visible and sometimes not. At night, when we dream of tigers and snakes, they are not actually present. But we are afraid because we are affected by what we envision in our dreams. Everything material is like a dream because it actually has no permanent existence, starting with our body. It have permanent existence. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes as follows in his commentary. At night, one dreams of tigers and snakes, and while dreaming, he actually sees them. But as soon as the dream is broken, they no longer exist. Similarly, the material world is a creation of our mental concoctions. We have come to this material world to enjoy material resources, and by mental concoction, we discover many, many objects of enjoyment because our minds are absorbed in material things. This is why we receive various bodies. According to our mental concoctions, we work in various ways, desiring various achievements, and by nature and the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we get the advantages we desire. Thus, we become more and more involved with material concoctions. This is the reason for our suffering in the material world. By one kind of activity, we create another, and they're all products of our mental concoctions. Okay, so the same theme that from the previous verse.
But it's talking about desires, right? Desires take us to a material situation. Currently, whatever situation we have right now is based on our previous desire. I mean, and then our future will be based on our current desire. So, one disciple asked Prabhupada, how can we make spiritual advancement or go back home, back to God? And he said one word, desire. We have to control over our desire. Of course, we cannot be desireless. We have to have right desires.
So many desires
And we
are
should,
coming, yeah, in our consciousness.
Mhm. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so many desires are coming, and yeah, so these desires move us like to do activities, different kinds of activities, and then those activities are called karma, and that karma creates different kinds of bodies. So yeah, so desire, yeah, so desire, how to change desire? That's, I mean, how to desire the right things, basically. That is the question. First of all, what is the right desire, and how do you how do you how do you act on the right desires and avoid the bad desires? That's the basically. the- so first you have to find out what is good desire, what is bad desire. All desires are not same. So
Hmm. Yeah, anything related to Krishna consciousness, to give pleasure to Krishna, acting according to the words of Krishna, that is a good desire. Anything else is a bad desire.
so if we act according to Bhagavad Gita's instructions, that's good desire. That's our molding our life according to Krishna's desires. That's and anything that is contrary to that. So then, well, we have so many desires, right? I want to get this, I want to get this, I want to. Then we can see how we can dovetail our desires, right? Sometimes desires can, I want to start a business. That's our desire. Okay. Is it a good desire or a bad desire? I want to start a business. What do you say? Is it good desire or bad desire?
Yeah, the motivation should be I want to, first of all, we have to do only that for our sustenance. whatever is needed for bare minimum necessities are covered, right? You can over endeavor and have a big business, but okay, your consciousness should be, I want to do this for Krishna, right? I want to, earn a lot so I can donate it to the temple, invite devotees to my house, get a house so I can have more devotees come in. So everything based on our consciousness. Like we say, Duryodhan was also fighting and Arjuna was also fighting. The same action was there, but the consciousness behind the action was different. Duryodhan was doing it for his own thing, like I want to become the king and the for his own enjoyment. But Arjuna was doing it as a service to Krishna. So the same thing, working towards getting a business, but your consciousness should be, I'm doing this for Krishna and to maintain a Krishna conscious household and to further help the temple and devotees.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else like to say? Maybe Komal can say something if she wants to say.
I just want to say, like, so basically, the origination of desires come from our senses, right? So, like, the senses which are the originator of these desires, if we engage them, so yeah, based on that, desires will come. If like we completely material lifestyle and the material engagements and everything is material around us, we will have material desires, complete material desires. So if we engage the senses like the great devotees, which we
We lost you.
desires, and with those kind of desires we will be able to engage in the service of Krishna. So I feel like, yeah, we say Ambrish Maharaj, how he engaged his senses, right? Different senses. So like that, if we try, if we at least attempt, then we will have like some motivation. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so we'll go to the next verse.
Actually, mind is a repository of all desires, and these desires have accumulated over many lifetimes. Our senses operate according to the direction of the mind. So senses, they don't think. So what do you say? I mean, the senses are acting according to so the mind, the desires originate in the mind.
Yeah, correct.
Um, it's based on association, as Juhi was saying. Who we associate with. Association, like through the eyes, we can see on TV so many things. We are getting association, and our mind is getting affected by that. Through the years, we can hear so many people, so we have to choose the right kind of association. We should be very careful and even fearful of getting into bad association. Otherwise, we will be corrupted and some bad desires may originate in our heart that maybe we just lose the opportunity in this life and then we have to get multiple lifetimes to fulfill desires. But ultimately, as Prabhupada was saying in the purport, all material desires will lead to misery only. We think that they will give us happiness. It's a mirage, like a mirage in the desert. It's an illusion. This thing will give me happiness. That is what desire means, right? If I get this, I will be super happy. But it's mirage. It's illusion. All material desires will give us suffering.
Okay, thank you. Komal wanted to say something. Preeti wanted to say
Hare Krishna. I
something.
was just thinking that, this is very elevated thought that every desire is related to the temple or Krishna. Sometimes I feel like it restricts your life and your day to day things.
Yeah.
If you're just thinking, because there's so much in life. Sometimes I'm thinking of Krishna's pastimes, what he did, how he did. He functioned like you would, right? He was playing with his friends. It has nothing to do with the temple or higher consciousness. He was playing with gopis. He was having, I was actually thinking how he engaged all people. He engaged, other mothers by, doing his pastimes. He had given opportunity to engage with him and have a personal one-to-one, you know, even the cows, animals, trees. He was universally there, but it wasn't necessarily everything to do with the temple. So, like when I'm raising a child and I'm seeing, okay, he's not able to dance on a simple song which says, okay, go right, go left. So now I need to break it down for him. He cannot just start dancing in the temple because it's the coordinated body movement where, your hand, although it seems very simple as an adult, and I want to think I was born this way, but I wasn't. So when it comes to a baby who actually is very new to this world, I need to teach him and make him a 360-degree before he can choose for himself which direction he wants to go to. And of course, I need to take him, I take him to Friday classes. Now they are so late for a baby his age. He's done by the day, he's done by 6, 7 p.m. And that's when the sessions begin. So he's not at his best energy level to be able to imbibe everything that's going on. But nonetheless, of course, as he ages and we continue to go, he will continue to learn and imbibe those things. But at this time, I feel like my job is to give him a 360-degree education in every aspect. And it will not always 100% be, about Bhagwan, but we are not trying to play demon here either. I'm just saying that you have to live your life and you have to do everything in the right state of mind. And of course, hopefully, everything to do with Krishna, but there will be many things where you may not find that context. That doesn't mean you stop doing it or it has no meaning. Because if I give him an education, like in the school Bhagwan Ram went, right? They went and they studied philosophy and religion and science and whichever subjects they studied, history maybe. And then as you grow, you put all of those educational topics into context and you find your route, whatever that means. Maybe you'll go the other route to know. I mean, you have to know what is day to know what is night. You can't just follow night. So you have to know the good, the bad, because everything exists around you. So I feel like I was not doing all of it, then I was trying to do all of it, and now I'm trying to find a balance back to just living life and living it in the right context, meaning you have to control your mood, you don't get upset, you develop patience, you see those ups and downs, and yet you try to elevate yourself every day towards what the final destination is. But at this point, not everything. I mean, that's almost like, you quit doing what you're doing and you just sit in the temple and you pray, which is the hardest thing to do. But when it's work for me, I'm not thinking Krishna every day. I mean, he's in my back of my mind. But when I'm talking to a patient, I think my goal at that point is to make sure I'm true to my duty, which is knowing what I'm saying it right, communicating it, understanding where they are coming from, and just being there for them. At that time, that's my context. And of course, I'm hoping that, that's in the context of what Krishna Bhagavan wants me to do.
Yeah, this is Sarah. I totally agree. Because moderation is very important. Just like if you run too fast, you're going to crash too quick. And first of all, you have to have the consciousness why you're doing what you're doing. We're all born with certain duties. And to fulfill that duties, we have to have the desire. But we always have to have why we're doing, because God sent us, Krishna sent us, Krishna gave this responsibility to us, and to fulfill that responsibility, we have to do certain duties. We can't definitely, just like the speaker before said, that we all have responsibility raising kids, and if we're constantly telling them you're doing thing for Krishna, they're fighting with different word. And if we're trying to convince them this is all materialistic, I've seen some kids gone totally outside of the norm because I'm not being able to teach. I'm not being able to make them understand. So the moderation is constantly feed them, do the right thing, serve the community, come to serving this community, you're serving to God, serving to Krishna, and constantly teaching them or teaching myself what's your moral um, value, what's your eternity, where are you going to end? Constantly reminding them helps rather than if we, I mean, for me, that's my experience with raising two kids. If you constantly tell them, let's go pray, keep chanting, and they have this, I'm in America, they have all the white kids talking about Christianity, they go to church, and I go to temple. It's a little confusing for kids to put that pressure. It's at some point, it feels like pressure to the kids. Um, I am about 50. I understand. I grew up in that culture, and it's easy for me to understand, but hard for kids to not to have desire, not to do this, do that, because this is at the end of the day, you have to survive to serve to the community you live and to serve to God who sent us to do certain duties. So I totally agree. I have a hard time 24 hours. But thinking of Krishna, but anytime I'm free, any good thing happens, I thanks to Lord. Any bad thing happens, I think of God. There must be reason, something good coming from. So always God is front of me, but I'm not always, chanting or thinking about temple. So, or neither I was able to teach my kids that way. So, but they believe there is Krishna, they believe there is God. They're growing up thinking that they will turn into it. But if I had put too much pressure when I was raising them, I was afraid I've seen some other kids like turning totally around. So the moderation, in my opinion, moderation is very important. This time of age we're living. That's what I wanted to add.
Mhm. Thank you for your inputs. Okay. Anybody else like to say anything? Preeti is want to say anything.
Um, yes, I mean, desires. I agree with all the comments that how you raise a kids in that sense. But at the same time, we have to understand that we cannot be desireless, but we can transform our desires because Krishna is also not teaching us to desire less, but he say or kill the desire, but he teaches us to purify it. And it will come with association because association is the transfer of the desires. So if you want to become a certain let's say you anybody wants to become a doctor or an engineer, so they associate with such personalities, and so they such desires also comes within. But of course, if there is a diversity, or in terms of raising the kids, if there is a diversity and you mix up with different backgrounds, different beliefs, it's hard to say that my belief is good above other ones. So we teach in that way, or I think in terms of kids has to choose. They have given the like in for the kids, if you make an environment in a family that if you practice, if you wake up early in the morning, if you be patient, polite, and so they when they grow up, they will understand that. So why my parents are practicing this and my parents are, because in US the parents are completely different. How they treat with their kids. I have very young kids, but I've seen there that the kids, the teacher, the parents are not um, so much involved with their kids. So when the kids grow up, when they associate, they also see that, understand that, okay, my parents are taking care of, they taking paying so much attention in me and taking care of this. So this, when they grow up, their mind expands,
and they understand the differences. But at the certain age, you cannot put so many things because they maybe cannot handle it. But what the spiritual practice is teaching us is that is true, that if you have a desires, and if the desires will not fulfilled, then it will increase havoc in our thoughts. It's anger, um, arises, and if it's fulfilled, as Bhagavad Gita is saying, that if it's fulfilled, then greed develops, and if it's not fulfilled, then anger develops. So definitely spiritual reading, scriptures reading is very important, because once we read, we actually understand that how our mind works, and how one can subside these desires, or how we can dovetail our desires, because desires is the seed of all actions. So yeah, so it's like that, we cannot maybe, um but the desire should not be misdirected. It should not be towards the selfish enjoyment. Okay, we see things in different way. So yeah, if it's fulfilled, then good, it's all Krishna's mercy. If it's not fulfilled, then also it's Krishna's mercy. So basically, the thing is that we have to see Krishna's hand, and go with flow. um, so that's what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll continue on. If anybody doesn't have anything else to say. Ayam hi dehino deho dravyajnana kriyatmakah dehino vivida klesha santapa krit udarita. The living entity in the bodily conception of life is absorbed in the body, which is a combination of the physical elements, the five senses for gathering knowledge, and the five senses of action, along with the mind. There's Gyanendriya and Karmendriya. Through the mind, the living entity suffers three kinds of tribulations: Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, and Adhyatmik. Therefore, this body is a source of all miseries. Okay. In the fifth canto, 554, while instructing his sons, Rishabdev said, Asanapi kleshada asa deha. The body, although temporary, is the cause of all the miseries of material existence. As already discussed in the previous verse, the entire material creation is based on mental concoction. The mind sometimes induces us to think that if we purchase an automobile, we can enjoy the physical elements such as earth, water, air, and fire, combined in forms of iron, plastic, petrol, and so on. Working with five material elements, Panchabhutas, as well as with our five knowledge gathering senses like the eyes, ears, and tongue, and our five active senses like the hands and legs, we become involved in the material condition. Thus, we are subjected to the tribulations known as Adhyatmik, Adi Devik, and Adi Bhautik. So, somebody can say, what does this mean? These three, Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik. Can explain what that means.
Adhyatmic means suffering from
Adya.
their own body and mind. Preeti, you want to continue?
Yes, Mataji. Adhyatmic is body and mind. Adhidavik is the sufferings by demigods or natural disasters like hurricane or all this. And what was the Adhyatmic, Adhidavik, and
Adi Bhautik.
Adibhautik is about the different living beings, like living beings, like any, like mosquitoes or other living being gives you a trouble, and you will create trouble in your life.
Okay. So this verse is saying that body is source of all miseries, and you get all these different kinds of miseries. Of course, we know there are many diseases and all that. The mind is the center because the mind creates all these things. As soon as the material object is struck, however, the mind is affected and we suffer. For example, when the material elements, the working senses and the knowledge gathering senses, with the material elements, the working senses and knowledge gathering senses, we create a very nice car. And when the car is accidentally smashed in a collision, the mind suffers. And through the mind, the living entity suffers. Like we say that as long if the car is in the dealer shop, right, before you purchased it, and it got some damage, right, you don't care. But when you, let's say you purchased it and now you're feeling that this is mine and the car gets damaged, then you think, oh, now I'm feeling sad because it's my car. So Prabhupada is saying kind of that kind of thing, that when we combine all the elements and make a nice car, and when the car is damaged, then we feel we feel unhappy, right? So it is through the mind that we enjoy, and through the mind we suffer, which Avanti Brahmana also said in the 11th canto. It's how you perceive things, right? Basically, how you perceive with your mind. Mind is the root cause of your happiness and distress. So the fact is that, like Priti was saying, that if it happens, it's good, it's Krishna's mercy. If it doesn't happen, it's also Krishna's mercy. So you have to see like that. The fact is that the living entity, while concocting with the mind, creates the material condition. Because the matter is destructible, through the material condition, the living entity suffers. So we are invested in this matter, and matter undergoes transformations. Like the car, when it's smashed, it undergoes little transformation in the matter, right, shape of the matter. And that causes us. And then our body also is matter. And because we are invested in this, then it goes through some things, then we feel, oh, I don't look so good now. I was looking so good before. So, but it is basically the matter. So through the matter is destructible, through the material condition, the living, especially our body, like the body will not last. And through that we suffer. Otherwise, the living entity is detached from all material conditions. There is a Vedic phrase, asango hi ayam purusha. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah. Actually, we are the observer. The soul is the observer. Like you go in a movie and you feel all the emotions, right? Because people cry and so many things, but because you are invested in the movie, and or invested in a game, Ohio versus Michigan, right? And so if you're an Ohio fan, like, or India Pakistan cricket match, then you're invested in this thing, then you feel all these emotions. On the other side of the boundary, they feel different emotions. When India wins and Pakistan loses, or Pakistan wins, they feel different. So we are all invested in our body and all the connection with the body, and that through that all the emotions are coming. That's what Prabhupada is saying. The fact is that the living entity, while concocting with the mind, identifies with the mind and creates the material condition. So, yeah, if I get this, then I'll be happy. If I don't get this, I'll not be happy. So, as I was saying, right, if you are a cricket fan and there is a match going on, and you wanted a ticket to go into the stadium, and if you didn't get the ticket, then you will feel very unhappy. But somebody who is not invested in the game, say somebody in America, and like here we have a football game close to our temple, right? They have the downtown temple, there is a big football stadium. So many people are going there, 100,000 people, something like that. But we are in the temple, we are like, we are not interested in who wins. Then we don't get the ticket, or we are not excited, we are not. So all this excitement and unhappiness is created because we have invested in a certain way in this. We are identifying with a certain set of beliefs and things like that, and according to that we are experiencing happiness and distress. Because matter is destructible, through the material condition, the living entity suffers. Otherwise, the living entity is detached from all material conditions. So, we are just the observer. The soul is separate. So, that is the phrase, Asango hi ayam purusha. The spirit soul has no connection with the changes of the material body. Prabhupada is saying. The body undergoes 6 changes, but the soul undergoes no such changes. But because he is identifying with this changing situation, so he feels different emotions. So, yeah, that we call as false ego. The false ego is the link between the soul and thinking that he is this body. So that link, when it is broken, then it's like, yeah, it's not, nothing is happening to me really. It's a very elevated state. And then on that platform, yeah, one becomes like detached. I have nothing to, because my body will be left behind, but I will still live. I'll move on. Krishna says, Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So I left behind my last body and I came into this body. This body also I'll leave and go to the next body. So the fact is that the living entity, while concocting with the mind, creates the material condition. Because matter is destructible, through the material condition, the living entity suffers. Otherwise, the living entity is detached from all material conditions. When one comes to the Brahman platform, the platform of spiritual life, fully understanding that he is a spiritual soul, Aham Brahmasmi, he is no longer affected by lamentation or hankering. Very high platform, right, to come to that. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 1854, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na shochati na kangshati. Shok means lamentation, kangshati means akanksha, we say some desires to get something. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. Then we may think, well, our life is defined by our desires, then will I just become, what will I do in my life, right? If I don't have all these desires, then now we are working because we maybe want to get a house. So we are working to buy a house, and there is all these desires define us. We want to get a promotion in our job or whatever. Maybe we are working towards this. But if all these desires suddenly I lose, that is also that's why many parents are afraid that their children, if they go to ISKCON and they hear this kind of philosophy, they lose all interest in all this, other things of this world, and because the philosophy is like that, it makes you detached, um, and makes you see yourself as separate from your desires. These desires define me. That's what we say. But these are, as we were saying before, that these are acquired desires in terms of our association. We get all these desires, but there's an acquired nature. Okay, but it's very, very elevated state. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and thus because he has nothing to lose, nothing to gain, materially speaking. He is not disturbed when he has financial loss. When he gets some very lot of money, he is not disturbed because he knows this is all temporary and this is not really related to the soul. We don't need money. Of course, in the spiritual world, they don't have any money to, in this world, to enjoy material happiness, we need money. So that's why when we lose, we feel, oh, now I will not get happiness, right? And now I'm getting so much money. I'm going to get so much happiness. I can use this money to get this and that and go on vacation and so many things. So, one who is thus transcendently situated once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. I'm just explaining what Prabhupada is saying. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita 15.7, the Lord says, Mamay vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So actually, We have all acquired designations in this world based on our body. But actually, the soul belongs to the spiritual world. We came from there, and that's where it's our real home. Here, it's a foreign place. It's like, that's why Prabhupada says it's like a dream. In every life, there is a dream, and we think this is who I am, and this is my nationality, this is my this is my this. So, but actually, this is all a dream, and it's a 60-year dream or 70-year dream. I should make it maybe longer because I am older, so I don't want to say it's a short. I want to live longer so that I can chant Hare Krishna. But yeah, so it may be 50-year dream or 60-year dream, but it's a dream because when you leave this body, the soul goes to another body, and everything is forgotten about this life. Just as when you wake up in the morning, at night you had a dream, but that dream is not, nothing is there, nothing exists, right? So similarly, our memory is wiped out as we go from one body to the next, and it's all like starting fresh. We may have been PhDs, but now we have to again learn A for apple, B for bat, C for cat. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. It's like we are going from one body to the next. And we are in a dream life. Every day you have a different dream. Every life you have a different dream. Today you may have a pleasant dream. Next day you may have a nightmare. And then again a pleasant dream. So sometimes you get a very big position like Indra, and then sometimes you become an ant crawling in the ground. There are so many ants crawling in the ground, or an earthworm. And yeah, so you get material positions like that. So the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which includes the mind. We are struggling because we have turned away from Krishna. And that's why we are struggling with birth, death, old age, disease. No matter how rich you are, you have to struggle with this. Even Joe Biden, who was the president of the United States, has aggressive prostate cancer. So all these things you have to struggle. And even though you may be very rich, very influential, very powerful, so everybody struggling, and we don't like it. But because we don't have transcendental knowledge that's we belong to another world, we don't belong here. So we think this is natural. The living entity is actually part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is unaffected by material conditions. But because the mind is affected, the senses are affected, and the living entity struggles for existence within this material world. Yeah, it's now there is a lot of struggle, right, with unemployment and so many things. AI is creating more unemployment, they are saying. Amazon is laying off so many workers like that. So AI is going to do all the work. So like that, there is then people will feel anxiety. Oh, am I going to get job? Not. What will happen to my job? Will it stay or not? So in this way. And we don't feel it until we are in that situation, right? So if we are in a good material situation, then we don't feel the anxiety and the pain of a person who is not in such a good situation. So everybody is having mental stress in this. Okay, but if we become Krishna conscious, then Krishna will take care of us. He will provide everything. That's how, because that is the purpose of human life, is to go back home, back to Godhead. So out of this temporary situation, struggle situation. So if we are doing our duty as a soul in relationship with the Supreme, then Krishna will provide everything. Just like your son, if he's in the college and he's studying very nicely, he's getting good grades, you are inclined to give him a lot of facilities, right? You give him money, you may increase his money, whatever, because he's handling it responsibly. But if he's going to take drugs, then you may say, no, no more money for you, because you are not fulfilling the purpose why you are in the college. So, like that, Krishna also. That's why he says in the Bhagavad Gita, if you become conscious of me, then I will provide whatever you lack and preserve what you have. So, that's the idea. Uh, Otherwise, we are at the mercy of our karma. According to our karma, whatever we are going to get, we are going to get. Whatever we are not going to get, we are not going to get. So that is how it is. Okay, so enough said. Now, if anybody like to say anything, you like to say anything, anybody? Okay, so we can. So we are at 8 o'clock.
So this verse is saying in the last line, this body is the source of all miseries.
Yeah.
We tend to use our body for enjoyment, but actually only can give us very little enjoyment, but mostly it gives us a lot of distress, a lot of miseries through this body. We can
Sometimes,
see.
sometimes people say, well, you may be sick for the last 3, 4 years of your life, but other times of the life, like when you're young, you can enjoy. Right? You maybe last 3, 4 years you are. So how do you explain that? What is this? Yeah, it's a source of misery because everybody will fail eventually. But for so many years, out of 75 years of life, maybe 5 years I was sick, but 70 years I was.
So sometimes we have good karma, so our body is healthy for a larger portion of our life. But we can see that so many people have come to us. My wife has cancer. My child has cancer. Please come and do kirtan in the hospital. I mean, in some lifetime, we can end up in such a situation where in young age we develop a disease like that. Because if we continue to have material desires, we'll continue to have material bodies, and karma may be different in next life. We may have such a karma where we have a sickly body from very young age. So yeah, and that's why they say the more intelligent person learns through others' experience. We don't have to go through an experience of sickness to realize that yes, this body is source of all misery. See the world around you. So many people are suffering.
Okay, that's an intelligent way. Yeah. Okay. So it may sound all pessimistic, right? Sometimes there's a devotees, you are so pessimistic.
Yeah.
You're talking about all these things and body source of
Prabhupada
misery.
says we should be pessimistic, right? What is that state where he says that?
Huh?
He says that unless we have a pessimistic view of this material life, considering the distresses of birth, death, old age, and disease, there is no impetus for our making advancement in spiritual life. We have to become disgusted and frustrated by this material world
But you mean we should be
in order to make
depressed?
progress.
We have to be
Hmm?
depressed. Should we become depressed?
No, devotee is not depressed, but as we were hearing from everybody, they went through some distress in life, and that is where they turned towards Krishna. Actually, they were frustrated. Frustration makes them turn towards Krishna. That they realized at that point, oh, what is in this material world? It's full of suffering. Is there a place where I can get happiness, where I don't have to see this suffering? They turn towards Krishna. But over the time, when the suffering goes away, we become diluted, we become complacent, and we start to think, oh no, it's this material world is still a nice place. There are so many things to enjoy. I was wrong. So we have to be consistently in that mindset, the one that we had at the time of our distress and the realization that we got that this is a place of misery, dukhalyam. Krishna says it correct. No matter what I get, no matter whatever material situations I get, it will all end up in frustration. So that conviction should be there. And then we can turn towards Krishna with, we can make advancement. So even if we have one desire left in our heart, we have to come back. Prabhupada says, even if you have a desire to eat a laddu or gulab jamun, or you have to come back. That's why
But
Anya Bhilashita Shunyam, pure devotee. Anya Bilashita Shunyam. I don't have any other desire, just to serve Krishna, to please Krishna, to unite Radha and Krishna.
But as we were hearing, like children, I mean, as children, they like to play. Krishna was also playing, right, with his friends, and they were also doing so many other things. So here in this world also, uh, there are so, I mean, not sinful activities, but there are so many things. We can watch a movie once in a while. We can, go on a vacation, relax. Um, right? Sometimes we have to do some sports and some like that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. So, like you give the example, watching a movie, but there is a cobra sitting next to you, looking
mm,
at you. So it's like for a devotee, he knows that death is around the corner. What am I doing? I should not be wasting any moment of my life. Everything in my life,
but
whatever I do, should be taking me towards Krishna.
but the thing is that that thing interests me, right? If like let's say I like to do other things, the but this activity of Krishna chanting and this thing is not very interesting, right? I mean, it's not like uh, giving me pleasure, whereas other things are giving me pleasure. Like if I start a business, and so that's the problem, right? But how
Mhm.
we can should we not seek pleasure other ways, right? Because I cannot be like in this state that just sit and
Mhm.
chant every day and all these things like so
Yeah.
read the scriptures. So
Yeah, we're not finding taste in bhakti, in chanting, hearing about Krishna and service to Krishna because we are diseased. We have
yeah.
the jaundice of ignorance, Syat Krishna Nam Charitadi. But to solve that disease, we have to consistently keep on taking the medicine, which is carefully chanting the holy name, coming in the association of devotees. Of course, nobody can force anybody to do anything. Um, it's their independent free will of what they want to do. But getting association of pure devotees who have a higher taste, they will get affected. They will also start to feel that taste while serving Krishna. So everybody has
I'd
their
like
own
to add.
journey.
Yeah, go
Mhm.
ahead, Komal.
So for me, well, I lost my track. But I was saying that in terms of movie, like Prabhu, you were saying, what conclusion you draw out of whatever is happening in front of you is up to you, and not everybody draws the same conclusion, even if everybody watched the same movie or a same incident. Movie is nothing but a portrayal of something happening of somebody's life,
Mm,
fictional or real, but it's just happening in front of you so you can see it from beginning to end.
mm,
Versus real life is the same thing happening in front of you, but it's happening very slow pace, right? So over the course of your life, you may build that context that, I saw this person growing up in front of me and now he's doing this and later on he did that. But what conclusion you draw, you may see something dysfunctional, pick up a conclusion that this has been me at some point in life, or I was close to this at some point in life, and how I saved myself, or how Bhagwan saved me, or I am in this situation and I don't want to do what he did in this movie. And that actually brings you to the right track. For me, that movie is an educational movie because it educated me something that you, with your preaching in the morning class, could not, because
mm,
I did not relate to it the way I related to the movie. It brought
mm,
me to myself. So I feel like everything could be a medium of instruction, and the instruction end point could be the same, is doing the right thing. Again, coming back to my child, I'm continuously asking him to chant Hare Krishna. Now, Veer Krishna, Swami Maharaj came to our house, and we were just having this question answer session. And with kids, he said, "Oh, well, I said, okay, Matha Teko, or, bow down to him." And maybe he took a minute or he did not. And he said, "It's fine. It's fine." Like he was of the idea that just do,
mm,
don't necessarily say, if I'm saying it right. Meaning, when the children see you, they will pick it up. But if you make them do it, they may or they may not. And like the other Mataji said, they may go like 180-degree opposite in defiance or in, you know,
Mm.
they may go opposite because they don't want to do. So
Mm.
you have to bring them there and they're not going to jump into it right away. I just have to set the right examples and I can do that. If he wants to watch movies, because everybody around him is watching and we have a TV in the house.
Mm.
And if I want him to watch, I can put educational content,
Mhm.
may or may not be related to Krishna, but getting good morals out of it, how different things are happening in a cartoon and what you are supposed to do in that situation. What I mean to say is any song, any word, anything happening in front of you, any movie could be a source of inspiration to do the right thing in life. So it's not necessarily anti-Krishna. It it could be in regards to Krishna and you can turn it that way as an educational piece of information. That's how I learn. I learn by seeing things. That's how my son learns, by seeing things. So it actually is a way to teach. It's an instructional mode. Some people learn by watching. So, you make those videos, those social videos are actually created by teachers to teach you that concept that if you are doing this is the next thing you should do. So when they see it, see the cartoon doing it, saying thank you, saying welcome, saying, smiling, so many, these are basic things that some kids or people may not do, is look at people in the eye and smile. Now is it towards Krishna consciousness or not Krishna consciousness? I think being a good human is being Krishna conscious.
Mm.
So it could be a medium of instruction and you could use it wisely.
Thank you for your.
Yeah, like we were discussing yesterday, so many kids in our home program, they had been watching Little Krishna series and they knew many pastimes that even adults don't know. The Sankri core pastime or Krishna's butter stealing pastimes.
Mm.
So there are good educational, Krishna, even Krishna conscious related videos that kids can watch and learn so many nice things in a fun way.
Yeah, and then I think Komal was saying that, yeah, also other which may not be devotional, but they are not anti-devotional, but they inculcate good values and morals in you, right? So, like we have Panchatantra stories and things like that, which usually have a moral at the end, right? The story has a moral that don't do this, do like this, and so that's what also.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, parents can do that right now. When the child grows up, he has a free will. He can do whatever, but parents can inculcate that foundation, a strong foundation of this is the right thing to do and this is wrong.
Yeah, I don't have children, so I cannot. But I think children learn by seeing their parents also, and so how the parents. Yeah.
Mhm.
So.
One more thing I wanted to add that I forgot earlier was, for me, the impetus to prayer, I don't know if it has ever been. I mean, in the event of the loss of a loved one, yes, but outside of it, I don't know if the impetus for me for prayer has been the bad things in my life or the sad things in my life. I think I pray better when I'm at my neutral or at my happy state. What drives me? I don't know. I have always been driven. It was something I was born with. It was a natural inclination. But do the sad things motivate me? I actually go downhill because, when I'm overwhelmed with grief, I'm too sensitive or sentimental as a person. So I feel very strongly and I can't necessarily pray or focus in that time period. I just can't. But when the grief recovery is over, I don't necessarily take that impetus, but I'm just able to connect better. I'm able to go back and I pray. So, not necessarily a way of preaching has to be, like you said, Prabhu, pessimistic. I mean, you could also pray just to be calmer self of yourself or be happier than you are at this point. If you find happiness in this world, and you have been happy and you've been blessed with a, a healthy, beautiful body, that's wonderful. This can just make you a better version of yourself in whichever situation you are at. Because all of us have situations when we get angry or we get upset or we become impatient, or maybe we respond after 5 minutes of somebody nagging. Maybe this is going to make you respond after 15 minutes because your tolerance level increases dramatically over the course of time. All these vices of anger and whatever, greed, lust, everybody experiences that no matter how happy they are in life. Everybody has these issues. So everybody every day wants to be a better father, a better mother, a better friend, a better devotee. So prayer could just be a positive medium to be a better version of yourself, not necessarily to take you out of grief that may or may not have happened. And it doesn't have to go that route. Like for me, it doesn't have to go that route.
Yeah, I think everybody's different and they learn also in different ways and everybody's different nature. So, yeah,
Yeah,
some.
but Keshav Swami Maharaj says the test of advancement in spiritual life, when the difficult things happen in your life, is your faith shaken? How do you respond to a difficult situation? Do you take shelter of Krishna, or your faith in Krishna is shaken? In good times, we can do devotion and we can say, "Oh Krishna, thank you. Yeah, having a nice time." But when the difficult
Now,
time comes, that's the real test.
I can add my very, very first-hand experience. About 27 years ago, my son was born with um, some problems, and I lost him after 5 months. And at that point, my faith was shaken. Like, why? Why this little child going through this, right? At that time, my friends and family constantly praying for me. There is no way when somebody going through grief, have them to pray and not shake the faith. But who's surrounding you, like earlier you say, that your association at that point really matters. Then they continue to pray for your heal, pray for you to get better or take care of the family. So I think when you're going through grief, that's when your that associating with right people, right crowd matters at that time. Even though your faith is shaken, they will continue to pray for you when you're not able to pray. So that is my experience. And that's why very important that we associate surrounded with Krishna conscious people, good people. When your faith is shaken, they will continue to hold you back.
Thank you. Yes. Association. Yeah. Okay. So we had some. You want to say something? Yeah. More.
No, last thing I want to say is we were discussing in our home programs. More you sweat during peace, less you will bleed during war. In good times, we have to become very serious and practice our sadhana, bhakti consistently, with full devotion, crying out to Krishna. Because the difficult times will come and will come in everybody's life, so that we are prepared for that war situation. We have to practice bhakti in good times very nicely, not become complacent.
Good one. Yeah.
I want to sing bhajan.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. उदिलो अरुणा पूरब भागे द्विजमणि गौरा मणि जागे भक्ता समूहा लोयो साथे गेला नगर ब्राजे ताथै बाजिलो खोल घन घन ताहे झाझेरा रोल प्रेमी धला धल सोनार अंगा चरणेनु पुरबाजे मुकुंद माधव यादव हरि बोले ना बोलो रे वदन भोरी मीछे निदाबाशे गेलो रे राते दिवसा शरीर साजे एमोना दुर्लभ मानव देह पाई कार भावना के ए बिना भजिले यशोदा सूता चरमी पुरी बेलाजे उदित तपन होइले अस्ता दिन गेलो बोली হইবে ব্যস্ত তবে কেন এবে আলস হয়ে না ভজা হৃদয় রাজে জীবন নিত্য জন হাসার তাহে নানা বিধা বিপদ ভার নামাশ্রয় করি যতনে তুমি ठाका अपन काजे जीवेरा कल्याण साधना काम जगते आशिये मधुर नाम अविद्या तिमिरा तपन रूपे हृद गगने बिराजे कृष्ण नाम सुधा कोरिया पान जुराओ भक्ति विनोदा प्राण नाम बिना किछु नाही को हारो चौदह भुवन माझे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. Translation. When the rising sun appeared in the east, the jewel of the twice-born Lord Gaurasundar awakened, and taking his devotees with him, he went all over the countryside, towns and villages. The mridangas resounded, tathai, tathai, and the jhanja, the kartals, in that Kirtan played in time. Lord Gauranga's golden body slightly trembled in ecstatic love of Godhead, and his footbells jingled. All the devotees chanted the names Mukunda, Madhav, Yadav, Hari, and their mouths became filled with vibrations. They would announce to the still sleeping people, "You spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your bodies. You have achieved such a rare human body, but you do not care for this gift. You remain not serving the darling son of Yashoda and slowly fall through your last moments to death. With every rising and setting of the sun, a day passes and is lost. Then why do you remain idle and not serve the Lord of the heart? This temporary life is full of various miseries. Take shelter of the holy name as your only business, to penetrate the darkness of ignorance and to bless everyone's heart. The holy name has risen like the shining sun. Drink the pure nectar of the holy name of Krishna. There is nothing but the name to be had in the 14 worlds. It has filled the soul of Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing this Nagar Sankirtan. He's chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, he's chanting the names of Krishna, Mukunda, Madhav, Yadav, Hari, and he's telling everybody it's time to get up, sleeping people. Of course, he's not talking about people who are, sleeping at night, and he may be, but actually people are sleeping in ignorance that I am this body, I, me and mine, these things are mine, I'm here to enjoy, let me enjoy my life to the best. So this is like sleeping people. And for those sleeping people, some are having a very bad dream. They're having a, disaster happening in their lives. And some are having a very good dream. Everything is going on smooth, but it is all a dream. As we were reading in Srimad Bhagavatam, This is there is night dream and there is daydream, but it's all a dream. These are temporary designations, temporary situations. But if we get engrossed in these temporary things of happiness and distress, we can, lose the opportunity that we have in the form of this rare human body, the greatest gift that Krishna has given us. We can lose the opportunity, and then again, we keep on getting one dream after another. In different lifetimes we have different dreams. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, don't waste your time. Every rising and setting of the sun, a day is past. So, Ayurharati Vaipumsam Udyanasante Chain Aso Tasya Te Shanonita Uttam Shloka Vartaya. Day is lost, but not for those who are using their time in doing service to Krishna, because they are getting eternal wealth. They are gaining wealth for in their permanent bank account. Any service that we do for Krishna, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So, as Komal Mataji was saying, she's thinking about Krishna's pastimes. That is also service to Krishna. It's Smaranam. So, hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna's name, speaking about Krishna, reading scriptures, remembering Krishna, going to the temple, doing service, all of this is service to Krishna. So, any time used in service to Krishna is our permanent asset, permanent wealth. Any time that is not engaged in serving Krishna in one way or the other is a time wasted. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying this temporary life is full of various miseries. So, take shelter of the holy name as your only business. This is our only business. We should be Vyavasatmika Buddhi, Vyavasai. Our only business should be one pointed attention. I want to go back to Krishna. I want to develop pure love for Krishna. So, that is in this age, Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us a very easy way of chanting the holy name and good consciousness with a pure heart. Or desire to become a pure devotee. And the holy name is risen like the shining sun. Krishna Surya Sama Hoy Andhakar. Jahan Krishna tahan nahi Maya Adhikar. So all Maya, all bad things, all anarthas, ignorance goes away when the holy name arises in our heart like the shining sun. So we should drink this nectar of the holy name instead of drinking poison by speaking everything else. All gossips of this world, all news, all things happening in other people's lives, all of this is like poison that we are drinking. Instead of that, we should drink nectar by chanting Krishna's name and speaking about Krishna. And there's nothing else to be achieved in this material world of these 14 worlds. There's nothing but the name to be had. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that, and this has filled my soul. So thank you, Prabhu. If you would like to add anything.
No, I think you explained it. It's all there. Holy name, yeah, is by chanting the holy name will purify our heart. It's the main way to purify our heart. Okay. Anything anybody else like to share? Preeti like to share anything?
No, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, so we can hear something for some time. Some yes, This is a lecture by Keshav Maharaj.